morning, friends, and especially migrants in New Zealand. Just in time for the spring break, the Minister of Immigration has announced the new 2021 resident visa, and I'm sure he's relieved more than most of you migrants himself. Today, we're going to talk about everything that we know about this new visa category so far, and the frequently asked questions that you may have. Before we begin, I would request you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notifications for any new videos that we post. Alright then, 29th September 2021 is a day I'm sure most of you migrants will remember for the rest of your lives. This resident visa was introduced by Immigration New Zealand on this day, and they've also put up this visa on their website. They've laid down the eligibility criteria, and they've also provided the timelines. So yes, it's finally happening. And I'm sure all these years of hard work and struggle that you migrants have gone through, and even then supported the New Zealand society and economy during the pandemic years over the last couple of years, and you guys are now finally being rewarded. So yeah, it's a huge positive. So let's get on and talk about this new visa category. What are the eligibility requirements? What visas are included? And when will this visa category be open for applications? So as we all know, this is a residence visa pathway for some of the temporary work visa holders who are already in New Zealand, and some critical purpose visa holders who are expected to arrive between the 30th of September 2021 and 31st July 2022. For this visa, there's an eligibility criteria that you need to meet. So let's get on to know what exactly it says. So there are 3 mandatory criteria which are required to be met, and this should have been done on the 29th of September 2021. Meaning, if you did not meet these 3 criteria on the 29th of September 2021, you may not be eligible for this visa. So now we'll get to know what these 3 mandatory criteria ask us for. Okay, so the first one is that you should have been in New Zealand on the 29th of September 2021. Alright, so if you were not in New Zealand on 29th September 2021, which means that you would not be eligible for this visa. And the second condition, or the second criteria, is that to be eligible for this visa, you would have to be on an eligible visa in New Zealand, or you need to have your application with Immigration New Zealand on or before the 29th of September 2021, which means you need to have a valid visa. You should be in New Zealand lawfully, and or you should have applied for a subsequent visa. So these are the 2 mandatory requirements that need to be met. The third criteria, you have the options to meet one of the following. Okay. The first one is that you need to have lived in New Zealand for 3 or more years. Meaning, if you arrived in New Zealand before 29th of September 2018, you may be eligible for this visa. And at the same time, you should also have lived in New Zealand for 821 days or more since you came here. So if you came here on, say, the 29th of September 2018, and you've not lived in New Zealand for 821 days or more, you may not be eligible for this visa. These are the 2 mandatory criteria. For the third criteria, you need to meet one of the following. The first one is that you need to have lived in New Zealand for more than 3 years, meaning you should have arrived in New Zealand on or before the 29th of September 2018, and you should have spent a minimum of 821 days in New Zealand between 29 September 2018 and 29 September 2021. So you have to be in New Zealand for more than 3 years and spend a minimum of 821 days in New Zealand. If you are not meeting any of these criteria, you can go and check for the second option that you have, that if you are earning a median wage of $27 per hour or more on the 29th of September 2021, then you may be eligible for this visa. And the third one is if you work in an occupation that is on the scarce list. Now, what exactly is the scarce list? scarce list is jobs that are basically on the long-term skill shortage list. Uh, you know, occupations that require a registration in the health or education sectors. For example, nurses, teachers are all included. Personal carer and other critical health workers as well. And there are specific primary sector jobs that are also included on this scarce list. Now, if you meet the criteria but you are currently in Australia and you've been unable to return to New Zealand by 29th September 2021, you may still be considered eligible. But if you are in some other country outside of Australia, say you are in India or you're in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, wherever, and you're not in New Zealand on the 29th of September, you may not be eligible for this visa. In this visa category, you can also include your partners and children who are also not in New Zealand at this time, so they can still be included when you apply for this new resident visa. Applications for this will open in two phases. The first phase will open on the 1st of December 2021. This phase will be only for people who have already applied for residence under SMC or work to residence categories. And if your application is in the expression of interest pool, then you may apply after the 1st of December. The second phase will open on the 1st of March 2022. This is for all the remaining eligible applicants. You can start applying for your resident visa after the 1st of March. If you haven't applied for your residence already, or if you haven't had your application in the EOI pool, all applications must be submitted before 31st of July 2022 because this category closes on that day. So make sure that you put in your applications before 31st of July 2022. Now, Immigration New Zealand has provided a processing time frame, meaning from the time you apply for this residence visa, your application will be processed in 12 months or less. In most cases, this processing will be much faster. So expect your visa to arrive in a year's time from the time you apply. Majority of these applications will be processed within 12 months. There are chances that your application might go beyond 12 months, but that's in rare cases, or if there are any application complications, or you're not meeting the health or character requirements, then probably your application processing might be extended beyond 12 months. But most of the cases are going to be processed within 12 months of submission. So now we're going to talk about different scenarios and frequently asked questions that we face. So for example, what about people who are not in New Zealand before 29 September 2021? So if you were not present in New Zealand on the 29 September 2021, you will not be eligible for this visa category. For people who are on student visas, who were previously on post-study work visas and are now on student visas, they will also not be eligible because Immigration New Zealand has specified a list of eligible visas, and if you were on that visa on the 29th of September only, then you would be eligible to apply. Or if you had applied previously for that particular visa category, which is on the eligible list of visas. Now there are people who have been asking, what if my visa expires before 1st of March or 1st of December? Then in that case, you would have to apply for a visa extension. Most likely visa that you'll be eligible for is the Essential Skill Work Visa. Make sure that you submit in your applications as soon as possible for the Essential Skill Work Visa, because the Essential Skill Work Visas are expected to end by the mid of 2022. So make sure you get your Essential Skill Work Visa or your visa extension, because it will be necessary for you to be present in New Zealand when you apply for this visa, for this new resident visa. If your employer is an accredited employer before the 31st of October 2021. So for people who are not meeting these eligibility criteria or not able to they were not present in New Zealand, or they don't have a median wage, or their occupation is not on the scarce list. So in such cases, under the regular skilled migrant category, when it opens, the skilled migrant category has been suspended until 31st of July 2022. So once this new resident visa category ends, that is when the new skilled migrant category will be introduced. So if you don't have a visa until 31st of July 2022 and you want to apply for residence in the future, then it's advisable that you apply for an essential skilled work visa, to remain in New Zealand lawfully and continue working. Now, what will be the application documents required? What will be the medical and health requirements? Will all be introduced and announced by Immigration New Zealand in the coming months. So I'll be keeping you posted on that. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for future updates. Thanks for watching.